Why, hello there, Nice Tear here. I do hope this video finds you very well today. I'm bringing you a review of this Kizer Allure. I did an unboxing on this knife a little while back, and now it's time for the review. I've got my thoughts together and such upon it. And they did a lot of things very, very well here. I mean, you can see the action is pretty darn great. But they did one thing that I think really hurts this knife quite a bit. I'm not gonna him and haw. Let's just jump right into the specs, and we'll get there soon enough. Blade length 3.5 inches. Overall, 7 7/8. So approximately 4 3/8 on the handle. Decent enough ratios. Actually, pretty decent. Usually it's 3.5 inches of blade, gets you about 4.5 inches of handle. This gives you a little bit under that, so they're decent ratios. Compared to our full-size Kizer. No, this is the Kizer Allure. This is the Civivi Conspirator, and this is the Civivi Elementum. It's definitely closer to the Conspirator. It is a little bit shorter than the Conspirator. It has the same blade length, but a little tiny bit less handle. Our grip length comparison to AA batteries. And to 2 AA batteries, you have just slightly under 2 AA batteries in your basic grip position, but then they give you a full forward choil, so you're probably not going to have too much trouble gripping on and holding onto this knife. Thickness compared to the Conspirator. The pivots do stick out a little bit, so they're a little bit thicker, but the actual knife itself, I believe, is just a tiny hair thinner, even though it is contoured, where the Conspirator is not contoured, it is flat. Let's check that out real fast. Why did you go negative for a second there? Whatever. Yeah, okay, so 510 thousandths. So it's basically a half an inch where the Kizer, or, oh my word, I'm getting them mixed up. Civivi Conspirator, too many C's and K's and shit. 524 thousandths on that one. So this is slightly thinner, even if the pivots are at a slightly higher point. 117 thousandths on the blade stock. Pretty reasonably thin. You know what's not pretty reasonably thin? Behind the edge. I measured this in the unboxing because I noticed it immediately. 22 thousandths-ish behind the edge. Yeah, this knife does not need to be that thick. This is not a heavy-duty knife. This is not a big beater knife. I mean, this is a slender, sort of very attractive knife. Why is it so thick behind the edge? It is way too thick behind the edge, and it has no real reason to. I mean, sure, it doesn't have the blade height of the Conspirator, but I mean, it's taller than the Elementum. There's no flat on this one. Yes, the Elementum's got a hollow grind, but they did that to compensate, right, for the lower grind. There's no reason that from the top of the stock that they did a full flat grind, that it needs to be this thick behind the edge. It's too thick. It definitely, I have a piece of paper here. It will cut. It'll cut. You can get a little bit of your curly Q, sure. But if you actually look at the edge, see how it sort of bent the paper right at the very edge there? And it didn't carry all the way through that, though that might have been me. Yeah, it was me. But it doesn't seem to... It cuts all right. Like, I mean, it does cut better than the the other knife that I had at this behind the edge thickness, which was the Demco 80 20.5, but it's definitely not as clean and precise and smooth. The geometry is just... It's all right, at best. It's too thick for my taste. I like at least 17 thousandths behind the edge or less, personally. Which, of course, this one's also going to get thicker behind the edge as you sharpen it, though I can't imagine it gets that much thicker that fast. It kind of does. Going through cardboard, like I cut through a piece of index card paper. Didn't like that much. It had a little bit of binding up and bending with that stuff. That tough, slightly tougher stuff. It did go through cardboard, though it definitely sort of, if you have cardboard, well, here's a tiny piece right here. If you have cardboard that's maybe not brand new and fresh, but has some wrinkles in it or something like that, see, it's just not playing as nice as it... Oh, no, that's the wrong direction. There. It's just not playing quite as nice with some of it as you would really kind of want a knife to play. I mean, I don't get why they put these kinds of geometries on a knife that's not supposed to be, you know, a heavier outdoor knife that's meant to be thicker like this to maintain itself. This is not that kind of thing. You're not using it for heavy stuff, so why does it need this thick of a geometry? I don't know. I don't think it does. It is a bit of a problem. It'll cut, it'll function, it'll do knife things, but it won't always be the most amazing cuts. I took a long diversion from the specs. Let's finish them. 3.31 ounces, so you actually get a good ratio. You get more than an ounce an inch, or you get more than an inch for every ounce of the knife. Where is my... There it is. Except that's the T6. This is the T8. Hardware check. T8. T8. The pocket clip, which is not reversible, is T6, but I mean, you don't have any reason to interface with it. It's basically these two, the pivot and this screw right here that's holding this thing up together, and they're T8s. So, again, excellent choice and decision, Kizer. Almost everything about this knife is done extremely well. That's by the way, the end of the specs here. So, just getting into talking about this knife. We've got this sort of, it's a slightly curve, I think. Yeah, dropping sort of clip point blade. The blade shape is nice and thin, kind of a longer blade shape. It's got a nice little bit of ramp here that does work. You can also get this sort of thing up. You got this sort of, I don't know, notch up here that you can use that actually sort of is well placed, at least for me. Definitely for, you know, tip cuts and stuff like that, draw cuts. The tip is a little bit high up there because of the belly being up forward, but it's still pretty darn easy to access and pretty darn nice. Like, it feels good in this grip. The actual material for this one is this Damascus that has been, I think they called it a black matte Damascus. Sort of a dark coating, so the Damascus is a bit darker, which is, it looks good. It's not very reflective, but it looks good. The regular versions of this have S45VN. Believe it or not, the S45VN versions of this are slightly more expensive than this version. This is, I believe, actually the cheapest version of this knife. They come in $120-ish, approximately. Give or take, you might be able to get discounts and stuff like that on them, so I'll link them down below, because, I mean, I'll link the knife. I'm just not going to say, like, it's a perfect knife. I think they've really screwed up the design by putting this thick of geometry on it, and I also think they kind of missed the mark with this clip. It's not a bad clip, but we'll get there. Moving on from the actual material, you've got a plunge grind that is alright. It definitely doesn't need to be as far forward as it is. The plunge grind stops here. They had a lot of room that they could have stopped this much earlier. Fortunately, the stop pin does hit. You can see it right there. The stop pin hits there, which is perfectly fine. You're not going to have an issue cutting in sharpening choil. And you have a little bit of life to sharpen, which, I mean, is definitely going to get thick on you. It has a front flipper that's, it's an okay front flipper. The jimping's not great. It doesn't wrap all the way around. You don't really want to go up the top here because you're definitely going to slip off and it kind of hurts a little bit. But it certainly works. It's tall in relation to the pivot. You've got enough leverage. No problem there. There is also, of course, the opening aperture, which I will admit, they really softened. You can actually kind of see how smooth and softened and like radiused this hole is. They might have softened it a little too much. You can definitely find yourself slipping out, but it does work for the thumb flick, and it works a little bit better for the reverse flick because you can actually get in there with the shape of this hole. So, actuation is fine. Centering looks pretty much dead on. It does look like it's slightly deeper ground on one side, which can throw it off in appearance, but it does look to be pretty straight on for me. There is also no play, and as I already mentioned, it's on bearings, and the action is amazing. And they didn't actually do their weight relieving in the back end of the tang for that, so this is just purely well executed, which makes it even more the shame that it has such thick geometry. It's painful, people. I want to like this one a lot more. I don't dislike it, but it's being held back by unnecessarily odd choices. The handle material is titanium. It is contoured. The inlay in this particular case is, I believe, rosewood. Yep, I'm looking at the box. Panama rosewood. There are micarta options, and I think they call it an ocean micarta, which I just didn't like the looks of that much, and S45 yen, and I think there's a coated with black micarta that is also an S45 yen. There might be other options at this point, I don't know. But I went for this because I thought it looked attractive. And I think it does. The rosewood is definitely stabilized. You can see some, like, you know, grain kind of voids in there, which is pretty normal for certain types of wood. You can also see a little bit of the tool milling on the outside of it. The actual inlay itself, even if it looks a little bit rough, it's not in the slightest. It's really, really well done, actually. It's inlaid nicely, it's contoured, it's got some nice milling on it, just a tiniest hint of texture. It's actually quite good. I very much do like the wood inlays on this. It is a liner lock with an inset liner that is bolted in there. The access to the lock bar is good. You've not only got this chamfer coming down, you've got a chamfer on the lock bar itself with more than enough access to get it from the side, and due to where the actual edge is on this knife, if you're just sticking your finger in where it's supposed to go to disengage, it kind of doesn't really hit, it doesn't really even hit your nail with the edge of the tip. You're kind of getting just the underside of the sharpening choil, or the finger choil, which is great, right? I mean, that's where you want that to hit. It's nice and easy, comes from the side. Great action. There is a lanyard post back here. There is a backspacer back here. A little bit of pocket gunk or something right there. I'll get that in a minute. Now this clip. Not reversible. Okay, not every knife can have reversible clips. That's fine. I mean, sorry lefties, you have numerous models that are left-handy friendly. This just happens to not be one. Not that you can't still use it from this side. I mean, it's still perfectly fine. It just feels a little weird. I suppose one thing I don't love about wood is that the clip has a tendency to have just a little bit of like movement on wood. I've definitely noticed it consistently on wood materials. It has that here. It's just a tiny bit of sort of creaky side back and forth. It's not bad. It's got a good retention. It does have too much of a flat. Like, the clip is not my favorite thing in the world. It is flat screws. Like, the execution on the clip, other than this unnecessary amount of flat at the end, even though it does still work in and out of the pocket, I don't think we need the flat. You could have just clipped this off right here and left it as like a continuous rise. And more than that, or more than anything, I don't think that on this titanium knife with this styling and everything, this clip really fits the bill. It's a budget deep carry clip. You can get it down pretty deep into your pocket. And it's easy enough to get in and out of the pocket, even though this is a bit slick. I've not found it to be having too much trouble with me. You get a little bit of grip from there. But I think this knife would have been really just sort of benefited from just a simple popsicle stick sort of milled titanium clip, like on this Miguron Valona here. This is a budget knife. This is not. They needed a little bit more rise on this clip, personally, but like, yeah, tell me that wouldn't have looked cleaner, nicer, more appropriate for this knife. So, I think that's most everything that I really need to talk about on this one. You got a little tiny bit of toothiness, not much. It did lose a bit of that already. Overall, the big takeaways here are just, why is it so thick behind the edge, and can we get a different pocket clip? Maybe one of Civivi's titanium pocket clips will work on there. I don't know. I have some somewhere, but on knives usually. But yeah, it's a good knife. It's comfortable. The ergos, despite looking kind of wonky, are solid. Like, this is a comfortable in-hand knife, even with the pocket clip on there. You feel it, but it's not uncomfortable or anything like that. I just don't know why it's as thick behind the edge as it is. Which is a shame, because I really do like the knife. It's distinct looking, but it's got some of the hallmarks of like long and thin that I like, and I don't know. I like it, but I'm not sure I'm in love with it because of just how thick and not really conducive to finer cutting tests on all materials. Like, it just doesn't cooperate equally as well on everything as a much thinner geometry would. I also feel like that the edge angle on this thing is not... It could probably be lowered a bit. Which, I mean, would help, but you get a bigger bevel and you definitely start getting up into thicker material very quickly. Yeah, companies in general, just anybody who ever hears this, like, if you're gonna do a knife that's not particularly tall, the blade isn't tall, just do your best to get it as thin behind the edge as possible. And keep it that way. Preferably hollow grind on these sort of stubbier blades, because you can keep it thin further up and you'll give it more life, and that's just generally better. Now when you get large, taller flat grinds, you don't have to worry about hollows because, you know, they can stay thinner in general, but yeah, and Kizer Allure is not quite as good as I was hoping it would be. The execution and fit and finish are definitely there, but a couple strange choices are holding this thing back, I think. So, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Consider liking and subscribing if you would. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.